Okay.
You did it, DG. You made it. We were praying for you. Everybody was praying for you this morning.
Thank you. I need those
It was a
prayers.
part of the prayer revolution.
It's so we're in such a vulnerable situation right now, isn't it? It's like, what are you going to do if
Mm.
your internet crashes, or what are you going to do if you're, the other day, we have two computers in the house. I use one, my wife uses the other, and our puppy chewed my wife's charger cord, and it was like, bro, it's done, it's frayed, and so like her computer died, and it's like I'm stuck. Like my computer is the only way I interact with the world at all. And what do? And it's like, okay, well, we can order it online. It'll take a month to get here, because anything you order online, that takes a month these days to arrive. And so it's like, it's like somebody just like sucks the air out of you. And it's like, you're totally at the whim of like Zoom, internet company, you know what I mean? It's like your phone company. It's like, it's so precarious. And so you log on in the morning and it's like, your internet connection is not working. It's like, what? So
Well,
anyways,
we all know that if our internet connection is ever not working, we know that we have our prayer connection. We know that beyond all internet connections, we can stay connected.
I set you up for that. That was like a softball. I just lobbed into your plate. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good to
Yeah.
see you
Awesome.
guys. Jeff, you're looking sharp over there.
Super grateful to be with you guys today, and yeah, and honored to be able to pray with you each morning. So
Yeah. Just a reminder how vulnerable our situation in the material world is. The internet connection can go out at any moment.
and that is that's just one very surface vulnerability, right? So much vulnerability we're seeing.
I'm freaking out. Vira's like, it's not really that big of a deal, bro.
Well, I know the feeling. I can relate. I can relate to the feeling of wanting to. Yeah, you're providing service and connection, and it's also something that you and I've been doing every day. So you want to show up, and you've got such a dutiful nature too. So that is natural. I think that is natural. There was something that last night I had two conversations, and they're inspiring. Just a mood, and so I'll share a prayer from my heart this morning. I spoke to a doctor last night who is on the front lines and is in the ER basically, and is seeing a lot of COVID patients. And hearing him speak, he's a spiritual practitioner of Bhakti-yoga. And hearing him speak and share his life experience, I literally felt like I was hearing like the doctor version of Arjuna with Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Because he said, it's amazing. He said, I'm going into this circumstance every single day, and I'm doing everything I can materially to stay fit and to stay healthy and to stay clean and safe, like taking all those precautions. He said, I really feel completely fearless. Said I really I can't, I don't feel any fear in my mind or my heart when I go into work every day. And so, I was just listening to him and I was saying, wow, it's like, that's incredible. And he said, yeah, he said, I don't, I know that I'm being protected. And he said, I know that even if I was to get sick, that's also, I'm being protected. And he's like, and I know that I only reason that I have this job, that was also, I was being protected. And he's like, I just can see my whole life, no matter what's happened, like I've always been protected, no matter what the challenge has been, the difficulty has been, or the fearful kind of circumstance has been. And so that fearlessness was so, and what we talked about a little bit yesterday was so inspiring. And then also talking to my mom yesterday.
Oh, your mom. Your mom
talking
is
to my
your mom
mom.
is a badass, Vira.
My mom's a badass.
We
She's
learned that from
definitely a
previous
badass.
episodes.
Yes, definitely. I'm trying to get her on the live, trying to
Oh my God.
get her to
If
tune in.
everybody's eyes just shut up. Let's get your mom's going to be our first special guest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That could be fun. Yeah, she's amazing. She's such a warrior. And I was talking to her yesterday, and we just had such a beautiful moment of shared appreciation for each other. And it was kind of like something that we just had never had at that level in our life. And she just went on this, like, she was just so inspired. She was just sharing about gratitude, and and so I won't go into the details. It was such an inspiring conversation. It was a heart moving conversation. It's perfect medicine for both of our hearts. And
Yeah.
so just in those moods, in that mood of fearlessness and that mood of gratitude, I'm just going to share a prayer from my heart today with you guys.
Okay, we're ready.
Yeah, those of us that are not familiar with prayer, find a comfortable seat or standing position wherever you're at right now. Just pause, whatever you're doing, any of your external activities. Close your eyes, find that comfortable seat. Start to breathe, nice deep inhales and exhales, and soften into receiving. Right now, the practice of prayer is to connect our individual self, our individual mind, body, spirit with the Lord, with the divine self. Just through these heartfelt prayers, these heartfelt words, just digging in actually with the intention to reconnect, to relink our individual consciousness with our source, with our beloved Lord, that we are able to cross beyond any boundaries, any barriers that we think may exist materially. And we're actually able to reconnect. That's what's happening. That's what's revealed in so many different traditions, so many different faiths, that we're actually able to connect with our source. That's what's happening right now in these moments as we soften in and we open up to that reality, open up with that intention. My prayer today is, my dear Lord, please make us fearless and help us to see every single moment of our life with gratitude. Help us to see that it's your hand that is moving us. It's your hand that is creating circumstance around us. And that through trusting you with gratitude, that these experiences are happening for me. They're happening actually to illuminate my consciousness, to help me to move off of the material platform and to reconnect spiritually, reconnect to that eternal relationship that we have. To be able to see with those eyes, to be able to see with that heart, make us fearless. Being able to see with those eyes and with that heart, let us move through our life with courage, with compassion, seeing every single moment in our life as an opportunity for service. It's an opportunity to remember that we are unbreakable spirit souls, that we are the captains of our ship, that no matter what is taking place outside of us, that we have a responsibility to stay connected. We have a responsibility to remember that this moment in my life is happening for me. It can be so intense, my Lord. Moments in our life can be bewildering, can be confusing. But help us in those moments to feel fearless and to have faith and to trust that you have us on the path and you have us exactly where you want us to be. You're putting us in a position so that we can grow, so that our love, our service, our action can be without condition. It can come just from our soul. It can come as an offering of love for all the people we come into contact with. It can come ultimately as an offering of love to you. And that when we're seeing the beauty and the splendor of this world with our eyes, let us pray that we could have thousands of eyes. Let us pray that we could see that beauty and that splendor in the smiling faces of our friends and family, the smiling faces of a stranger. We can see the beauty of life itself, of how Mother Nature is sustaining us no matter what, is serving us selflessly, sustaining us. The beauty of a sunrise and a sunset, the beauty of Mother Nature, that we can see that with a million eyes. In gratitude, we see your splendor, seeing just a spark of your splendor in everything that we perceive in this world. No matter whether we're facing darkness and challenge or we're seeing beauty and we're experiencing bliss in life, let us see you and let us be grateful for you in every moment, knowing that as we walk through that door of gratitude, we come back into connection with you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Speaking from the heart, leading from the heart. Thank you so much, Vira. You mentioned fearless, being fearless. And I was thinking of this verse from Bhagavad Gita, but then I was thinking also of a personal question. Wanted to check in with you about. You can ask me the same question, but it's um, it's sometimes interesting just to think about what is it that I'm afraid of. You know, like what am I really afraid of? And sometimes you ask those questions like, well, it's almost kind of like you can ask those questions like, what do you want? And it's like, and then you answer that question. It's like, well, why do you want that? Well, why do you want that? You know what I mean? You kind of dig a little bit deeper to get at the heart of your fears even.
Mm.
And so, kind of personal question for you, Vera. What does it mean for you to be fearless? What are you afraid of?
Great question. I almost feel like flipping it back on you.
Flip it.
Because I feel that there's the ripe mango that's ready to come off of your tree.
No.
And yeah, yeah.
But I thought
I
that'd be
would
interesting.
love to.
I thought it'd be interesting to discuss, to get into.
I'd love to hear.
Probably things we're afraid of is things that other people are afraid of at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. And I'd love to. I'd love to hear what are your thoughts on that? Because I know so often, and I've appreciated. Sometimes I listen back because you share so many things that are so inspiring when we're having a conversation that I want to like reflect back on it. I want to, because it hit my heart and like it inspired me to share something or feel more connected to God in a certain way. And so I was listening to a recording that we did yesterday, and I was like, oh wow, I talk a lot. And I was like, oh, let me let me ask more questions and let me
That's what I think about myself. I
let me
think like, I
listen
got to
more.
shut up and give Vera some space to talk.
So I love to.
We should
Yeah.
do it.
What are you afraid of, DG? What are you feeling? Yeah. What are you feeling that you come up against with fear in your life?
We should do a vote on the show. Who talks more? We'll see. We're going to do a poll. I think I'm going to win that poll. But no, I mean, it is very, very interesting. I was thinking all the way back because I grew up in a Roman Catholic family, and I went to church every Sunday, and I personally, I always had a belief in God. And although at a certain point I stopped going to church, and I started to think a little bit more broader, like what is universal truth. I remember I told this story before, but I was in junior high, and I remember the name of the teacher. His name was Mr. Jeans, Mr. Jeans, and he was a seventh or eighth grade history teacher. We were studying world religion in the class, and religion, spirituality, it always fascinated me. Although kids my age were usually joking about it or goofing off in class, I took it seriously. And I remember him saying, I have no idea what his religious or spiritual affiliation is, if he has any, but we were studying Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and Hinduism. And, he said, if the Christians are right, the rest of the world's in a lot of trouble. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but it sounds like it makes sense. And he said, if the Muslims are right, the Christians and the rest of the world are in a lot of trouble. And he said, if this group is right, then the rest of the world's in a lot of trouble. Like we're right and everyone else is wrong. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And it was the first time in my life where I really started to step out of I started to ask the question, what if I was just born in the wrong family? What if I was born in the wrong religion? And all my views, everything I'm adopting is simply because I was born in a Southern Baptist family, or I was born in a Buddhist family, or I was born in a Muslim family. And that's just how I was raised. Was I just born in the wrong country? What about the people who were born, so I started to really think that doesn't make any sense. So I really started to pan out and became more of like an agnostic, like believing in God or something, but not sure what it is or what to call it. And I remember at that time, like, I really was just like, I had no spiritual guides. I had no spiritual literature, I couldn't Google anything, you know what I mean? And so it was like the late 90s. And I just remember believing in God super intensely, but just wondering if like God knew who I was, you know what I mean? Or like, what happens when I die? Am I just going to be forgotten or like rolled over by time? And I think it was that like primal fear of being forgotten, that fear of being looked over, that fear of kind of being left out. And I think that in any fear that I acknowledge of myself today, I think it relates back to that fear of sort of being nobody to
Mm.
anybody. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so whether it's embarrassing myself, saying something stupid, losing followers, blah, 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 not having money, whatever fear it might end up being, I think it ultimately goes back to some like core fear of of um of of not being loved,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, hearing like that it's that it's a fear of yeah, like that it's not being loved, that not being valued, that not being important, that not having meaning, that just kind of being like a dot in an equation.
Yeah, and I think that what I'm hearing from you as you're praying and that connection, that fearless, I think what comes from, you know what I mean? My cousin was sharing this. I have an older cousin who's kind of like a sister to me, and she's like just developed a lot of life wisdom and truth over the years. And she said she talked about herself growing up, because I had a strong, my immediate nuclear family, my mom, my dad had a broken family, but my extended family with my mother's side was very strong, many aunts and uncles and cousins. So this aunt, she had two brothers, and her mom and her dad, they stayed together, a strong family, and their last name was Marini. I grew up in Italian, so I had all Bartoloni, Marini, DePinto, all my family names. And so she said that what she knew growing up is at the end of the day, she had her family bubble where she always knew she was safe and accepted and could be. It was her little Marini bubble. Um, and so whatever happened at school, whatever happened at whatever social relationship, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, etc. She always knew that like at home, there was a place to belong and a place to be and a place where there was love, you know?
Mm.
And she was telling that to me. She was actually giving myself to my wife and I, like advice for our family. She's like, you have
Mm.
to create that for yourself now,
Mm.
because the rest of the world may eat you up. The world may eat you up, but now you have a new bubble that you're creating. And she
Mm.
was saying, even with me, even with your extended family, like you may get pressures, come visit for Christmas or this and that. It's like you have to determine who's your number one, who you're putting first.
Mm.
And so it's like, I think that she said that confidence in her allowed her to go out into the world and deal with the everyday challenges of life, whether it was school or social, etc. And I think that spirituality, or that kind of concept of a prayer revolution, is like I think that spiritual fearlessness is that I'm recognizing that like for this verse that I was thinking about in the Bhagavad Gita, it's chapter 4 verse 10. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, it's Krishna
Mm.
speaking, and thus they all attained strength into love for me. So he's kind of juxtaposing those two things, becoming free from attachment, fear, and anger, which go together. It's like, I have fear of losing out in the material world, and therefore I'm going to attach myself to the things that I want to bring me that feeling of love and contentment. And then I get angry because those things either don't fulfill on their promise, or I lose them, or they're taken away. And so I get
Mm.
angry. I think this person is meant to fulfill me in life, and now they got sick and they died, and I'm angry about it, or whatever it might be. And so, but I can let go of that fear, that attachment, and that anger when I become absorbed in Krishna, when I become
Mm.
absorbed in a higher power, when I invite God into my life in a real and tangible way. And then therefore we see that fear kind of starts to lose grip on us, because I'm recognizing that what I'm afraid of losing can never is what I'm afraid of losing is part of my being. It
Mm.
cannot be taken away.
Mhm.
I can only forget it. I can
Mhm.
only forget that it's there. I don't lose it. I just forget that I have it. And
Mhm.
so I just was thinking that for ourselves and for all of us out there, a little daily meditation or exercise is that, like, because you brought up fearlessness, to really think, what am I really afraid of?
Mhm.
When I experience anxiety, or when I experience a panic attack, when I feel worried, it's like, what am I really worried about? And usually what we're worried about, like anger, they say, is a very surface level emotion. And I think that fear also can be a very surface level emotion in a sense, like there's something usually much deeper than what I'm aware of. I'm angry because this, that. Well, actually, you're probably angry because something much deeper. It's triggering something in you that is a much, much bigger anger.
Mm,
And so if I'm afraid of something superficial, I'm afraid of losing my job. I'm
mm,
afraid of this person's going to break up with me. I'm afraid that I'm going to be single for the rest of my life.
mm,
Well, what are you really afraid of? I'm afraid of
mhm,
loneliness. I'm afraid of being forgotten. I'm afraid that I don't have value and I'm going to have
mhm,
love. And then
mhm,
kind of, I think when we can be reminded of that, we can approach the world with confidence. And that
mhm.
allows us to be our best self. And then somehow miraculously, and I'll shut up now because I think I took the whole time
No
today,
way. Come on. Come
is
on.
that I
Keep
think
sharing all this
miraculously
beautifully.
when we have that confidence, things fall into place. Things fall into place in life in a way that we never might have imagined. And so I just think that we can start to just slow. It's not an immediate thing. It takes time, but
Mhm,
I think that we can slowly realize that actually, it's true. There's nothing to be really afraid of.
mhm. Yeah, and I'm hearing you really talking about walking toward it, that it's like,
Yes.
hey, like let's actually walk toward it consciously, like,
Mm.
okay, we do gratitude journals, right? Like what about like what am I afraid of journals,
Fear journals.
right, where it's like, hey, I'm trying to exercise this gratitude, but if really I'm being run by fear, then I'm never really walking through that door of gratitude.
Mm.
So how powerful is it to actually look at that and actually kind of like, yeah, it's like, whoa, those are some scary shadows. Those are some scary feelings. But okay, as I dig a little bit deeper, like I'm actually coming into contact with
Mm.
something actually so much more real and actually probably so much more scary, what to really feel that we're meaningless, to feel that
Mm.
our life is meaningless, to feel that that we have no intrinsic value, to feel that that this life, that there's no real purpose and meaning behind it. That's a very confronting feeling.
Mm.
And so I'm hearing you, and I always appreciate you bringing it in. It's like, let's walk toward it together, right? Like let's walk toward it. Let's gain that insight in our own life. Like, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Like
Mm.
let's dance with that. Let's be with that.
Yeah.
Let's not separate that. And the prayers that I've been reading and reflecting on is like the beauty and the splendor of this world and the fear and the darkness of this world. Like let's not separate that from our relationship with God. you know that
Mm.
okay, like let me tell God, or let me reflect and meditate on how what I'm grateful for, and let me express that gratitude. Let me share that gratitude with the people, and in the
Mm.
ways that I write it. Let me actually share it. Let it not just stay in
Mm.
a book, but let it be something that actually becomes an offering of love that fulfills me. And then also, when I'm writing down what I'm afraid of, what I'm fearful of, let it not just stay in a book, but let me engage with that with prayer.
Mm.
Let me connect that back to my higher power, and let me reach out to my friends and reach out to people who I may be able to trust, to be able to explore those fears, which
Mm.
can be pretty scary. They can be really scary, and when
Terrifying.
we shine light on them, like in this type of setting, when we shine light on them and we talk to them, like it can, like with you and me right now, like I feel a lightness around fear.
Mm.
Like I feel like a courage around fear. I feel like, wow, fear is like actually like this catalyst for transformation. Fear is like this powerful energy that is either like sucking me down into a dark hole, or like becoming this transformative power that helps me to move through any challenge and difficulty in my life, staying connected to the divine. And so feeling
Mm.
that, like, okay, when I'm with you, I feel that, and when I'm with a
Mm.
coach, I feel that. When I'm with a teacher, I feel that. When I'm with a trusted friend, I feel that, the vulnerability
Mm.
is intense. Maybe the tears come, or the shutting down, or the fear of even exploring our fears, right? Being
Mm.
judged, or feeling, our own feelings of judgment and shame
Yeah.
around it. But to actually, to see, okay, how do I bring my fear into the light? so it actually can become a catalyst. And so I'm seeing that with you right now, that for us to do it on our own is always, that's not the equation. The equation isn't to do it on our own.
Yeah.
The equation is bring our higher power in, and bring in a friend that actually, oftentimes when we don't feel connected to our higher power, we don't feel connected to Krishna, that our friend, they're a representative. Our friend that holds us with love and with empathy, that holds us in compassion, that holds us with grace, that allows for us to walk through our fears. That friend, that person in our life can be an instrument of that compassion, that grace. And so I'm seeing what you're bringing out right now is so, it's just so powerful, and it's inspiring me. I'm always telling people, let's get the gratitude journal going. I'm like, man, let's get the fear journal going. This sounds like there's some rocket fuel there. There's some
your fear
power
journal. That's our title of today, Bryn. That's the title of today's episode. Start your fear journal. Beautiful. I was Alfred Hitchcock, which I don't know if anybody remembers Alfred Hitchcock. He was like the original horror story writer, movies, and so he was famous for his he would write just scary films and shows. And he said so he's the master of terror, and he said there is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. And so the idea was like, whatever monster or big thing you think of in a movie, really once it happens, like boom, or, the monster comes out of the closet, it's like, oh, it's not that scary. But the anticipation, the buildup, like someone's walking across, turning around the corner, and there's someone outside the window, and you're just worried. So like the buildup of the anticipation of the terror is more frightening than the actual terror itself. And I think that's the idea of like a fear journal. It's like, what am I really afraid of? And actually the thing itself isn't worth worrying over, but I can get myself so worked up on it. So that's what I think he means. He said, there's no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. And I'll share a last, oh my God, we got Kastuba online. Welcome, Kastuba Ji. We're just thinking about you all the time. We're just about to wrap up. But, I tell a story. It's embarrassing, but my wife can vouch for this. Is that I'm scared of the dark. I'm a person who doesn't like to be in the dark, but I'm only scared of being in the dark alone. Like if there's another person with me in the dark, I'm not afraid. But I hate being in a dark room or the idea of like walking through the forest alone in the night. I couldn't do it. Like I could never do it. You know what I mean? I used to be afraid at night taking the garbage out because I have to go outside and around like the side of the house. My wife's saying, yeah, 100% true. And so, but the idea of but being alone in the dark is terrifying. But having somebody else, for some reason, the same fear is not there for me. And I think it goes back to like recognizing that we're never really alone, and we always have that person with us. A lot of people are sharing, they're scared of the dark. I don't know if they're being truthful or they're just trying to make me not feel bad, but I appreciate the love either way. Thank you. So anyways, we're going to start our fear journals. We're going to know that we're never alone. And just because you wanted to say something, Vira, what's on your mind?
Yeah, just you're taking such a beautiful analogy into our life as we are exploring what we're afraid of, and bringing God into the center of our life, and bringing our friends, right? We've spoken about sadhus and teachers and mentors and guides, and that let's walk together. That there are going to be those dark times in life, and when we know, okay, we find ourselves in the woods, we still have the ability to call out. We have the ability to call out to a friend, the ability to call out to a loved one, to a guide, to a mentor, whoever that is at that time. That's our responsibility, okay, this fear is daunting. This fear makes me forget God. And so let me reach out, and then let me bring that light into my life with a friend, with a mentor, with a guide. Let me bring that light into my life so that I can feel connected. I can walk through that forest, that dense forest of this material life. You can walk through it with fearlessness.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Lots of comments and things coming in. AJ said I don't mind being with another person because I know I can use them as a human shield. I'm exposed. But just two quick more shout outs. If you want to just have your own personal time to reflect on this in your fear journal, read Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 10. Bhagavad Gita 4 verse 10. It's a beautiful verse and a beautiful commentary. You can check that out on Database, or if you have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 4, chapter 10. Also, our good friend Kustuba was here. Kustuba also has a daily morning yoga podcast with our good friend and teacher Raghunath, Wisdom of the Sages. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Please check them out. They're chock full of spiritual wisdom, humor, guidance, and there's lots going on there. So I don't know if you're still online with the Kustubas, but it was inspiring to see you here for just a quick second, and I hope that all of our listeners can check you out as well. We'll be here same time, same place tomorrow, every day. We've been doing this every day. This is episode 24 or something. I don't know. We're rolling with it. So love you guys. Start your fear journal, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Right?
Sounds good, Baba.
All right. Love you. Haribol.
Have a great day, guys. Haribol.